viewers, and welcome back to the Actron CP9690 Sweepstakes giveaway. And that's right, we're not just giving away one Actron CP9690, not 2 or 5 or 7 or 8, but 9. So what it is, kind of condensed version in a nutshell. We've got 9 of these bad boys. Links are in the description below, because a lot of you just want to stop watching the video right now, but if you do, you're not going to win. That's really not true. You still have the same odds as somebody that watches the whole video. However, we are going to be giving some away every single Tuesday sometime till mid-August. Like I said, the links are in the description below, and just like a car, when it sets a check engine light and has, you know, code setting criteria, there's criteria to win one of these bad boys. Like everything in this world, you know, the terms, conditions, you know, all the fast talk that usually comes at the end. That's all in there in the links. Not going to go through all that, but one thing we are going to go through is anybody that has been following the Self-Made Auto channel for a long time knows that I have a much older Actron. What's the number on this, man? It's all wore off. I don't know if CP perhaps, CP9580A. So this is my old Actron. I've had this thing for a lot of years. Have gotten a ton of use out of it. And one of my favorite uses for this tool is, you know, in the shop when the customer rolls in, the money light's on, they want to set up an appointment, but they have the, you know, question that they all have when the light comes on is, you know, can I keep driving it? And you don't know until you grab some codes out of it. So I usually grab this little guy, scoot out to the parking lot, pull the codes. Yeah, it's just EVAP code, you know. Set them up with a date, get it in, check it out. And another one of my favorite features on here is the drive cycle monitor, which I actually have coming up in an upcoming video. And it's the same feature that they kept on the newer model, the newer, bigger one. And one advantage of the CP9690 over my old one is this one also does OBD1, which we've had quite a few questions on. And we've actually done a video on it. We used it on a older Ford truck that came in. Now, it does come in a box, a handy dandy box. But whatever that's worth. Now it's on the ground. But it also comes in a sweet bag, and it comes with your OBD1 adapters for, you know, most of your domestics and Toyota. So you have your, you know, your Ford, you know, OBD1 adapter for your EEC4 systems. You've got the GM ALDL connector for your pre-96 GMs, and then you got your Chrysler SCI, so it's going to be your serial communication interface for the older Chryslers pre-96, and then you've got your 2 Toyota adapters for your OBD1 Toyotas, and your little cigarette lighter adapter, and an instruction book, which I've never opened, because who needs directions, baby? Not me, or at least, you know, we might need them, we never read them. Anyhow, like I say, terms, conditions, they're all down below. You want to see a few features on the tool, stick around. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through every single menu, every single feature, monotone format, every single button for the next 4 hours. We're not going to do that because nobody wants to watch that. But like any other tool I show you guys, it's the real deal. It's the tools that we use in the shop, you know, every day, and it's tools that you guys can use too. You know, whether it's DIY or, you know, even in a professional shop, or, you know, wherever you're at. And we're also going to answer the age-old question: will it link up to an OBD2 or OBD 1.5? So that's the slang term given to some of the pre-96 vehicles that have a 16-pin, you know, DLC in them, whereas we take the old Actron, and she's not going to want to talk to it because this is OBD2 only, and so they're going to communicate on different pins in the DLC. Now these older GMs that ran around 8,000 and some bits per second, you know, kind of slow serial data transmitting machines, and they communicated on pin 9 instead of, you know, class 2 and this and that. We're not going to get into technical data and terms with it, but these and the Bonnevilles and the Corvettes, and like I say, a few of the other bodies, I can't remember all of them, but because I just don't see these things anymore. Most of these are long gone and in the crusher. But what we're going to do is we're going to hook up to it and see if it can talk to it, which I already know it can because I've already diagnosed the car. So it's not going to be a car diagnosis. I'll kind of run down through what I did on this car using only the Actron in a test drive and using my noodle. We're going to check it out, go through some of the menus, show you guys what's it about, and then I'm going to let you get going so you can go down, click the link, and you're going to win one. I guarantee it. But not all of you, only 9 of you. So. Okie dokie, folks, here we are. We're all hooked up. Whoa, crab biscuit, hang on. See what happens when you leave me in charge? Anyhow, let's see if we can do this. Here we go. So we're in the main menu. We're going to go to Vehicle Diagnostics. Now you can see I've already had this car plugged in. We're going to have to come up and do the manual ID simply because this does not have the 9 modes of OBD2, or 10 modes rather. So we're going to have to go through and enter this one manually. So we're going to come down here to 95. And we're going to go car, and then we're going to scroll down to Pontiac. Now, if you want a full list, oh yeah, before I do that, I get down Trans Am. They did not have the 5.7 option in here. Don't know why, so I just picked another F-body. So we're just going to pick this Firebird with a manual. We're going to put it in our garage, and it tells us to either use the assembly line data link cable with cigarette lighter, barrel jack cable, or the OBD2 cable. So we're in. Oops, got to turn the key on. Big dummy. Oop, there we go. Boom, so she pulled up a code. So this has a code that has nothing to do with the symptoms on the car. This is already just unplugged off the tranny. But like I was going to mention, if you want to know, makes and models and stuff, visit Actron's website. Don't ask me in the comments because I'm not an Actron pro. But you can find the information there on their website. At any rate, so you can come here. Once you're in here, you can check codes, which we've already done. You can see it's all zips through those menus pretty quick. What we want to do is we want to look at some data. So this car came in with a symptom of using excessive fuel, smells a little rich. She thought it always smelled gassy, but her main complaint was after administering the beans, with their old right shoe down here, and letting off the throttle while it's still in gear, she got a lot of backfiring and grumbling out of the exhaust, that where it never used to do that. So my first thought was, why is it doing it? Is the car going into fuel cut mode? Is it going into closed loop? A few things ran through my mind, and I could answer all those questions using this. So here's our first menu, and we're going to be pushing the right arrow key to flip through the page, one page at a time. So we have, one full page, 2, 3, 4. So we got 4 full pages of data, and here we'll whomp down on the throttle. And you can see, it responds pretty quickly. Now, on these ones, we can't graph. On the OBD2, there'll be a little symbol down here that you can actually pull up, a couple of data PIDs in one graph, which is kind of handy. And it's a really fast sample rate, I'll tell you that. It's not raw data, but it's pretty quick. So, on this car, I had the ability to come through and look. I was able to watch, both my O2s, because my first thought is, this thing got a leaky injector. That's dripping, it goes into fuel cut mode, but it's still dumping some fuel in there and making it backfire and rumble and all that stuff. And the answer to that question is yes, but we're able to see all that here, because I could watch my O2s, I could come up and I could watch my mass airflow, at an idle, and this thing over reporting what's it doing. We're able to make sure it goes into closed loop. We could come up, we could watch our fuel trims. Wherever they're at, I could make sure it warms up all the way, nothing crazy going on there. It's a low mileage car, so they sit a lot, but we could see our fuel trims here, and as we look, we're like 128. Wow, that's like the old GM block interrogators, and that's exactly what it is. So even though OBD2 connector, we still read OBD1 data, just like we did on that Ford. So pretty cool. Quite the data list. Now these cars are pretty primitive, so you don't have, a ton of available data. This is likely every sensor on the entire car. I may be wrong. It's getting pretty late at night. I didn't think about this, but I'm willing to bet if we went and grabbed the Veris, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot more, particularly on something this old. We've got, our knock sensor counter, and then do we have our knock retard? Yep, there it is. So these older GMs, you get a wonky knock sensor or something that's tripping it off. You're going down the road, you get a complaint of a power loss. These things will feel just like converters plugged, and we're getting, fault false knock activation, and all of a sudden, this thing's like, hey, we're going to pull back this timing, and all of a sudden the car's running like a turd. So you can watch that there, your injector pulse width, manifold pressure, manifold, voltage, air temperature, engine runtime, if the skip shift enable was hooked up, spark advancement, throttle position, vehicle speed, all sorts of good data PIDs on here to make any diagnosis pretty simple. So, like I say, folks, there's a lot of other features on this tool, and you have the ability to change it from English to metric, if you want to read your data PIDs in Celsius and, or pounds per minute on your mass airflow, or inches of water, or kilopascals, or however you like setting it up, that's available too. There's, a built-in battery starting charging system test where you can check the voltage of the data link connector, crank it over, it draws you a little graph of, your minimum voltage while cranking, and then your, output of your alternator charging voltage. So there's a few features on here that are pretty slick. And like I said, it's got the drive cycle feature. You can go out and check your readiness monitors. There's, all kinds of, too much stuff to go through. So if you're curious about it and, will this work on my vehicle, won't it, what's available, visit their website. It's a whole lot easier than asking me in the comments because I don't know. Or if I do, sometimes it's hard to get to all the questions. So I encourage you to check them out. And the other question that, may arise is this the only scan tool I'll ever need? No, it's not. The scan tool is handy. We can look at, OBD2 data. We can read airbag codes. We can read, I should say some airbag codes, transfer case codes, training codes, ABS codes. Those we can get. We can't look at the data and stuff, but we can likely get direction. Does it have bidirectional controls? Negative. Some of your OBD2 GMs, early ones. I'm trying to remember the mode number of OBD2 it is, but where you have your evap test. So on GMs, and I'm pretty sure it's GM only, I'd have to do some more research on this, where you can activate the canister vent valve, but that's about it. So in some cases, as you guys seen on lots of our videos, we need to go talk to different modules, whether we're talking to the radio or the HVAC or the body module or transfer case module or fuel pump driver module or telematics, whatever we're looking for. It's not the only tool you can have, but it is super handy, and especially for anybody, advanced DIYers, guys in the shops, guys just like you. We can all use one. Super cool tool. So anyhow, enough jabbering. You guys want to get down there and click the link, and if you didn't watch the video, you ain't gonna win. But anyhow, all right guys, I wish you the best of luck. I thank you for watching the SMA channel. At the end of the contest, I'm going to have a little video displaying all of the winners, hopefully holding their Actron, so you guys don't think this is some big hoax, and you guys can see that there's real people out there, and people like you guys that I really appreciate. And the best of luck to you, and thanks for watching.